Hey everyone, it's Scott with Nexus. I am doing a short video series called Trust Basics. We're going to start with just basics about the trust, how it works, how it can help you if you have a business, and we're going to get right to it. So we're going to talk about today something called trust categories. And a lot of people we talk to, they call Nexus, they call us, they call our consultants, and they say, I have a trust. I already have a trust. I don't need your trust. Thanks, but no thanks. Well, the problem is they have the wrong trust. They have the trust where there's no benefits. Okay, a lot of times people say, I have a living trust. And I say, well, you have a living trust, but you don't have any living benefits. So the only benefit in a living trust is when you die, your assets go to your heirs, but that's not a benefit for you. That's for a benefit for them. So you didn't get any living benefits. In fact, you had to die to see the benefit. So a living trust is not a beneficial trust at all. There are no benefits. So I want to show you about how to set up a trust that has all of these cool benefits in it. And just I want you to understand the trust categories, that 99% of people buy a trust, but they buy a trust that has no benefits, and it's in the wrong category. So let's watch this for a second. So if I set up a trust, most likely, if I call up an attorney and I say, I need a trust. Can you help me set up a trust? He'll say, sure. And he'll set up a revocable trust. Okay? They usually won't set up an irrevocable trust. So one thing to understand is that living trust, most all living trusts, fall under the revocable category. So you have two types of trust, two main types of trust. You have trusts that are revocable, meaning you can revoke the trust. What does that mean? That means if I put an asset in, I can take it back out and put it back into my name. Okay, that's called revocable. Well, they have a revocable trust, but what's the other category? It's irrevocable. So either you can take the asset, put it back in your name, it's revocable, or you can't. So irrevocable, you can't do that. It's in there forever. So what I want to explain real quick is when you call up an attorney and say, hey, I'd like a trust, 99%, not 98, 99% of the time, they're going to sell you a living trust. The problem is, what did I say a minute ago? There are no benefits. Okay? No benefits. Don't you want a trust that has benefits? We're talking about asset protection. We're talking about tax advantages. We're talking about peace of mind, all types of benefits. So in other words, the only way to get benefits, all of these benefits that I'm talking about, you have to have an irrevocable trust. Now, the only problem with an irrevocable trust is the IRS has a test called a control test. They have a test called a control test, meaning if your trust is irrevocable, you only get one position in that trust. So let me explain this. You have a grantor, you have a trustee, and you have a beneficiary. So this is how irrevocable or any trust works. Trusts always have three people at least. You have grantor, trustee, and beneficiary. You call up the attorney, hey, I need a trust, please. He says, great, he's going to sell you a living trust. You go, oh, wait, I don't want the trust with no benefits. I want a trust that has benefits. Oh, that's an irrevocable trust. But don't forget, it's only 1% of trusts fall into this category usually. But the problem is, here's the problem. He's going to make you the grantor. Every time he's going to make you the grantor. That's a problem. Because now you cannot control, you're not the trustee. You can't control your own assets. So think about that. You work for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you have all this money, and you buy a boat, a house, a car, a yacht, you buy all these cool things. Problem is, you want to set up an irrevocable trust that has benefits, okay? There are benefits over here, right? But the attorney made you the grantor. That's where he messed up, or she messed up. She made you the grantor. Now you can't be the trustee. You cannot control what do? You have to go out and hire a trustee. You have to hire a bank, a financial planner, some person to be your trustee. That's not what you want to do. Okay? So what do? Well, you need to have a trust, but you don't want to be the grantor. Well, good luck explaining that to your attorney, because they're not going to know how to do that. Or that's not what their standard practice is. So So again, this is 1%. Now, if 99% of all trusts are revocable, that means 1% is irrevocable. The problem with this 1% irrevocable is, remember, we want all these cool benefits, but the problem is most of these irrevocable trusts are still grantor trusts. So even 99% of irrevocable trusts of the 1% are still grantor trusts because they set it up as a grantor trust. But you don't want a grantor trust, you want benefits. Because when you set up a grantor trust, what that means is you took assets you owned and you gifted those assets into the trust to create the trust. There's no law or rule that says you have to gift an asset into the trust, okay, to be a trustee. Now, someone does. In order to set up a trust, you do need a gift. Okay, it's called the trustor, the grantor. They put a gift in to start the trust, but it doesn't mean you have to. Okay, you can become the trustee and not be the grantor. You can have what's called a non-grantor trust. In fact, someone's like, they say you can't have a non. Yes, you can. If what happens when they have a trust and the grantor dies, a trust becomes a non-grantor trust. So the concept is completely legal. It's the way it works. But you don't have to be the one to gift the first asset in the trust, creating the trust. Okay, you can let someone else do that. You can hire. You can have your friend from high school. You can have your your preacher from church. You can have anyone be the grantor. It doesn't have to be you. You don't want it to be you or anyone in your family. Okay, that's how it works. So you want a non-grantor trust. So what does that mean? That means 1% are irrevocable. 99% of the 1% are grantor trusts. What does that mean? That means that 1% of irrevocable trusts are set up as non-grantor trusts. So you got to have a non-grantor trust if you want all these cool benefits. The problem is, even if it's irrevocable and non-grantor, there's still a problem out there if you want all these cool benefits. What's the problem? Is that most of these trusts are going to end up using the simple tax code. When you use the simple tax code, there are a bunch of benefits you don't get to take advantage of. So you need to use a code called the complex code, and need to make sure you do that, and that's about 1%. Okay, so most trusts are either revocable, most trusts are either grantor, most trusts use the simple tax code. But again, you want a trust that has all these cool benefits, so therefore you need it to be irrevocable. Pen doesn't write. You need it to be irrevocable, you need it to be non-grantor, and you need to use the complex code. You have to set the trust up right for success. If you want to have all the cool benefits, you need to be in the right category of trust. You don't want revocable trust. There's only 1 or 2 cases in your whole lifetime that you would want a revocable trust. Not very many cases you would want that. Okay? You do want an irrevocable trust, and some people are like, well, man, I can't change anything. Yes, you can. In an irrevocable trust, you can change things, but you probably won't need to. If irrevocable trusts have a position called a guardian, guardians have the right to amend language in the trust. People that's their purpose in the trust. They're called a compliance or administrator, or some people call them, admin or compliance person. That person can amend language if needed. There are things they can't amend, but there are things they can amend. So that's how it works. So there are different trust categories. You need to be in the right category. You need to use the right tax code. You need to have the right structure set up. If you want to learn more about that, click on the link below and talk to us, call us, or have a phone call with one of our consultants, and they'll walk you through how we can help you.